history is watching. Thank you very much.
Na this week in politics, sadi a trendy bana manyo semu a Kpandai elections. Yabeka yi a yede update bi brɛ mo sɛ Temale court no ahwɛ sɛ wɔn ensan koyɛ rerun nessa batwo na ekoso 2024 no parliamentary section no yensan kɔto aba ne foforo biem. Eba yi edomokuma ebo mrahye de fesan sɛ mighty yandama wono wɔyɛ MPP ni owi ni ye MPP fo wɔn ahye fo kyerɛ sɛ wɔnom enti asɛm na sintini saa brɛ omokoko apai na watchi mu ani ahye fie hɔ de.
But let me make it very, you cannot scare me. You cannot scare me. Whatever I want to say, I'll say it. If you want to speak, rise up and catch the eye of the speaker. You cannot scare me. You can't. What can you do? Speaker, I'm saying that to the extent that since we started the consideration of the estimate, largely we have cooperated with our colleagues. Even where ministers are absent, where committee chairs are absent, we have cooperated and staged the needed compromise. Speaker, we've had enough for the day. And hence, we will call for an adjournment, a due and adjournment, and a deserving one, of course. We are calling for an adjournment because well, for the records, we want to make it very clear to you that you cannot scare anybody here. Now, until Kpandai is resolved, government business will suffer. Get away. Get it clear. Get it clear. Until Kpandai, I put it to you that until Kpandai is resolved, government business is going to suffer. And from henceforth, you keep telling us you have 189, 185, and then 4 independent members. Go and marshal your numbers and come and do your business. Until Kpandai is resolved, we on this side will not cooperate. We are saying it again, we will not cooperate with you. And nobody is going anywhere. Well, we are not moving. We are not going anywhere. And so, Speaker,
obia sheshe tuntum ne nose mask tuntum ne omoka nyina so mani abre adanya court clerk de nkrata bia ba ma hwe fie ho a wo declare papa ne si say vacant se obia ante so se ne be ya commission no ebetumi proceed na watumi aye ne elections wo ho. Fast forward, no other assembly si wo mrahye fie ya letter yi eba se declare seat ne vacant no amrahye bjafo na ni abra wo mo kire se nyadom be ya adwuma wo fie ho kosi se NDC fo no ene court clerk ne yewura babe ne nkrofo de ekosui Kpandai wo mo ade atu ye nya saade a wo mo makọ mu ye e mamrahye bjafie ho da. Na ene nwumre ya ena aba beto dwasa bato komisa de nkrata ba wɔkyerɛ sɛ nipa miensa wɔn mo gina ye 2024 abato ni mo Kpandai na parliamentary seat wɔn mo kwakɔ prebia Matthew edi ewi ni ye wɔ Kpandai no wɔn mo ba be ye rerun ti sɛ de court no hyɛ ya pɛpɛpɛ enti abato komisa sese ne nkrata kɛ ne calendar no nese wɔkyerɛ sɛ December ne de to so aduasa 30th December ya eno obekwa akwa rerun no ne akwa to parliamentary seat aba ne biem Kpandai krata ye de atusui krata fra bato komisa ya kyerɛ sɛ ade ne de aya na aye no transparency na no de be ye adwuma enti womo ebo bi amane sɛ womo mo gina ye sa bre no 2024 no womo nyina obi mo aboa no sanse womo san ba be kwa bato so biem na data womo di aba despite some minority sɛ womo ntwe no 30th December.
Very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I address you this afternoon on a matter of grave and urgent constitutional importance. With profound respect, I must protest in the strongest possible terms a recent action by this House. It is an action that, if not corrected, will constitute a direct assault on the constitutional rights of the people of Kpandai, a dangerous breach of the separation of powers, and a redress, and a reckless disregard for both our judicial process and our own parliamentary history. This House is on the verge of committing a constitutional travesty and a historical self-betrayal. We have taken note of a formal communication from the Clerk of Parliament issued pursuant to the contested High Court order notifying the Electoral Commission of a vacancy in this honorable House. On the strength of that notification alone, the Electoral Commission is expected to regard the Kpandai parliamentary seat as vacant, though it is a seat that was decisively won by the New Patriotic Party with a clear and commanding mandate of a difference of 3,734 votes. But here is the profound constitutional and historical defect at the heart of this matter. As I stand before you, the Honorable Member for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam, has duly exercised his constitutional rights. He has filed a stay of execution, halting by the operation of law the effect of that very judgment. 2, he has lodged a notice of appeal to the Court of Appeal. And 3, he has initiated an application for certiorari at the Supreme Court. I ask, what manner of parliament are we in that we would rush to enforce a judgment that is legally suspended, ignore appeals that are actively proceeding, and arrogantly presume to be preempt our superior courts before they have uttered a single word? Worse, why are we abandoning the wise and restrained precedents set by this very House? Let us consult our own ledger. Our institutional history reveals a consistent bipartisan practice of protecting a member's mandate until the legal process is conclusively settled. We have never treated a contested first instance order as an immediate death warrant for parliamentary tenure. Let me cite specific examples. In the case of Samuel Nyemikan of Welensee, after the High Court voided his election, he filed an appeal. What did this House do? It continued to recognize him as a sitting MP throughout the entire appeal process. The seat was only declared vacant after the Court of Appeal delivered its final judgment. In the case of Eric Amwating of Nkranza South, detained abroad on serious charges. This House resisted calls to declare his seat vacant while his legal status was unresolved. Vacancy occurred only upon his own properly executed resignation. In the case of Dana Wodapi of Keta, convicted and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, this House did not treat the conviction as an automatic trigger. When circumstances allowed, when he was granted a presidential pardon, he returned to this chamber on 10th of June 2008 and was permitted to sit and perform duties as MP. His tenure ended with the dissolution of Parliament. In the case of Adamu Dramani Sakanda of Boko Central, the honorable member continued to serve in Parliament for years while the courts determined civil challenges to his eligibility. It was upon his final criminal conviction and subsequent imprisonment in July 2012 that he became legally incapacitated from performing his duty as a member of Parliament. Even as he pursued an appeal, he was granted a presidential pardon in December 2012. In any case, a by-election could not have been constitutionally justified since his incarceration occurred less than 6 months before the 2012 general election. Let me address the case of James Jechi Kwesi, which is often mentioned. A clear look at what actually happened shows why rushing on Kpandai is wrong. Here are the facts. Kwesi was sworn in and served as MP in January 2021. Even though a court case was already pending, Parliament allowed him to work, just as we have done in other cases. In July 2021, a High Court nullified his election, but even then, Parliament did not immediately declare his seat vacant. The real change came from the Supreme Court. In April 2022, the Supreme Court issued a direct order, an injunction commanding Kwesi to stop acting as an MP. And in May 2023, the Supreme Court gave its final judgment, ordering Parliament to remove his name. The lesson is clear. Parliament decisive action in the Kwesi case was not based on High Court ruling alone. It was based on specific final orders from the Supreme Court. Now compare this to Kpandai. Today, we have no order from the Supreme Court. We have no injunction. Instead, we have a High Court ruling that has been formally stayed and is under appeal. To use the Kwesi case to justify instant action in Kpandai turns the truth upside down. Kwesi's case teaches us to wait for the Supreme Court's final word. In Kpandai, we are ignoring that lesson and acting before the first appeal has even been heard. We cannot use a case that required court intervention to justify acting when the Supreme Court has not spoken at all. The pattern, therefore, Mr. Speaker, is undeniable. This House has always required one of three conditions: the exhaustion of appeals, a final specific order from the Apex Court, the member's own resignation. Article 99 1E of our Constitution is precise. A seat becomes vacant upon a determination by the appropriate judicial authority. Our history proves that a determination is not the first word of the High Court. The final authoritative word after the appellate, our history proves that a determination is not the first word of the High Court, but the final authoritative word after the appellate process is complete. Our legal system is built on this foundation. The right to appeal is a fundamental pillar of justice. Yet, this House is being urged to treat a suspended, appealed, and contested High Court order as the final irrevocable command. This violates the Constitution and repudiates our legacy of institutional restraint. Let us be unequivocally clear by acting now. We are not following precedent. We are shattering it. We are declaring that for the people of Kpandai and for Honorable Matthew Nyindam, the historical respect for the process and appellate right is null and void. We are telling the 363,734 citizens whose clear will is not in mathematical that their vote is expendable. We are telling Honorable Nyindam that his constitutional right to appeal, a right exercised by Nyamekan, Sekunde, and Kpandai, is meaningless. We are telling the Court of Appeal its pending task is irrelevant. This is not upholding the law. It is a selective, cynical, and historical illiterate application of it. If we proceed, we do not wrong Kpandai today. We establish a toxic new rule for tomorrow, that a parliamentary majority can weaponize a first instance court order to instantly unseat a political opponent, rendering the appellate courts and our own historical practice obsolete. Therefore, the duty of the House is clear. We must, one, acknowledge that a stayed and appealed judgment cannot be considered a final determination, as our history with Dan Abu Dhabi and others confirms. Number two, we defer any action until the appellate process is conclusively complete, respecting the precedent set across decades. And number three, we need to recognize that this premature notification violates the separation of powers, disrespects the judiciary, unjustly disenfranchises the people of Kpandai, and betrays Parliament's own tradition of constitutional caution. And finally, number four, need to withdraw the notice of the Electoral Commission to the Electoral Commission immediately. This is not a partisan plea. It is a call for basic constitutional fidelity and historical consistency. In conclusion, I stand here for the rule of law and for the sanctity of our parliamentary traditions. The notification on Kpandai is historical aberration. It is a violation of the separation of powers. It is a usurpation of appellate jurisdiction, a disenfranchisement of Kpandai voters, a denial of Honorable Matthew Nyindam's rights, and a gross departure from our own settled practices. Accordingly, I submit that this House is constitutionally, legally, democratically, and procedurally bound to withdraw the premature notice issued to the Electoral Commission. Let history record that this Parliament chose the wisdom of its past precedents of Nyamalkan Abu Dhabi, I'm watching over the rashness of partisan expediency. Respect the stay, await the appeals, honor our history, uphold the Constitution. The people of Kpandai are watching. Ghana is watching. History is watching. Thank you very much.